Hello, I'm Dr. Gregory Chalette, and I co-direct Social Practice City University of New York with my colleague Chloe Bass here in New York City. And I'm really pleased and thrilled to be talking to you today by video recording. Thank you, Lorraine Leeson, my colleague and friend, for putting this together. I will be making my presentation mostly by audio. Thank you. It is truly admirable that this conference focuses on issues of art activism, arts education, wellness, climate change, and empowerment, and that ILIA Biennale 2022 seeks to create an open exploratory space for all. Setting aside the obvious challenges of time zones and languages, practicing inclusiveness today seems paramount, especially considering the incredible challenges facing not only socially engaged art and art pedagogy, but also democratic societies around the world. We can cite the waves of refugees from Russia's 8-year-old war in Ukraine, but also the recent past and still simmering conflicts in Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, Ethiopia, and elsewhere, as well as even the greater number of people fleeing economic or environmental crisis. The underlying and seemingly unending pursuit of surplus value extraction from social labor and from the planet's resources is without question our common enemy. But let me turn to a more specific site of controversy and concern, a more proximate one, and that is the recent and much chastised Documenta 15 in Kassel, Germany this past year. In it, we witnessed example after example of deep-rooted collective, activist, and socially engaged practices from around the globe organized by the Indonesian group ruangrupa, the first ever occasion when this prestigious and intellectually rigorous exhibition venue was ever curated by a collective rather than an art star curator. And so, the start of this year, in the end of September 2022, the artistic universe was delivered up a grand experiment in decentralized curating. And yet even before it was open, it was already being attacked as, and I am quoting or extrapolating now from the mass media and art press news headlines here, attacked as controversial, offensive, scandalous, antagonistic, chaotic, anti-Semitic, and simply aesthetically and artistically bad. As the German philosopher of cynical, or some would say curmudgeonly reason, Peter Sloterdijk stated with regard to ruangrupa's Documenta 15, quote, "We are observing the mobilization of a post-colonial intellectual culture," and then he added that, quote, "intellectuals from the periphery are prepared to take power in the center." Sloterdijk's use of a reflexive we pretty much spills the beans. To rephrase his comments more directly, "Dearly, what on bloody earth did you expect to happen when you handed over this prestigious exhibition to a pack of resentful outliers?" Which is to say, in light of ruangrupa's ethno-political and collectivist curatorial methodology, it feels important to entertain the possibility that the shadow of anti-Semitism that is so spoken about in relation to Documenta 15 is really serving a hostile art world, the German liberal press, and far-right racist ideologues, anti-Islamic included, as a default justification for condemning this experiment in total. It's also crucial to know that the charges of bigotry towards Documenta 15 started well before the offensive imagery was detected and removed in mid-June. And I should say that there were apologies made, sincere, it seemed very deep apologies by ruangrupa and others at the time. All the way back in January, before the show actually opened, the Palestinian collective known as the Question of Funding was anonymously assailed online by something called the Alliance Against Anti-Semitism, Kassel. The online ambush was followed by physical vandalism against the group's installation, an attack that also included what may have been coded threats of future violence against the collective. One unfortunate outcome of all this poorly researched north-splaining was not only the loss of a critical conversation about the substance and the work involved in Documenta 15, but waves of media-enhanced scorn that just began to buffet the exhibition going forward, and continue to do so, I should say. I am ultimately reminded of Lucy R. Lepard's well-known comparison of activist art, all the way back in 1984, to the Trojan horse. Lepard described this poison gift's dual function as, quote, subversive on one hand and empowerment on the other. It's both within and beyond, and here I'm quoting again, beyond the beleaguered fortress that is high culture or the art world, end of quote. 1984. We could therefore envision ruangrupa throwing the doors wide open at Documenta 15, like the soldiers exiting the Trojan horse in the middle of the night, throwing it open for entry by a peripheral army of others. Don't forget, ruangrupa invited 14 other collectives to be part of the exhibition process, and those collectives in turn invited dozens and dozens, even hundreds of other participants. In conclusion, Documenta 15 is an exhibition that will mark 2022 as a pivotal year of change. Should we, that is, collectively decide to seize this moment and the opening that has been produced. Thank you very much for listening. Good luck with the conference.